The First Million Words, Episode 18, First Person, with Aliette de Bodard. These will go up in July, by the way.
Okay, cool. My omnibus comes out in July.
Yeah, perfect. I think it's well, yeah, we'll mention that at the end here, but I wanted to ask about the first person POV, which is, I mean, except with kind of a couple exceptions, there's not a whole lot of that especially in the speculative realm. So was it just because that you were writing like a mystery or like kind of a crime novel? Was that why you chose first person perspective?
I'm gonna make this sound very negative on first person, but I mean, I basically picked it because it was a mystery, and there's a long and established tradition of using first person.
Oh yeah.
And second, because it held me to fairly high standard when I was plotting, namely that it kept the plot focused. I was like really afraid that I was going to scatter everywhere and not actually be able to have like an entire structured plot. So having to have my main character present in basically all these really helped, and having also his voice and his perceptions color everything. Also, I think really helps in the immersion because it makes you feel as though he's talking to you.
Yeah, like he's actually telling the story. Yeah.
That said, I mean, it has a pretty huge drawback, which is like by the end of the third book, I was really, really coming up against limits of like they were really seen that one present, and unless I actually like twisted the plot in really like believable ways, it wasn't going to happen. So I guess I'm a little mixed on the experience.
Yeah, I am too when it comes to choosing, because when I first thought to myself, well, I want to be a writer, the main things I was reading was, and I've mentioned this on the show a few times, is Chuck Palahniuk. He did Fight Club, so I read those and I was like, well, everything has to be in first person for it to be any good. And but then when you look at where like the speculative, the fantasy sci-fi is, I mean there's Name of the Wind, and then I think the N.K. Jemisin, I think the 100,000 Kingdoms are in first person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Isn't the Left Hand of Darkness in first person? I mean, half of it.
Yeah, some of
it. The half in generally Ice point of view, not the like folklore stuff.
Oh. Yeah, I think so. I mean, and like you were saying, it's kind of a, it does kind of limit you, but at the same time, it kind of frees you up to stay focused on that plot. And yeah, I always have that tendency when I'm writing in third person, and jumping around from, character to character, to give them a side quest. And then, and I'll be like, oh, okay, this is going nowhere, so let's just get back to it, and I'll have to scrap that whole thing. So, yeah.
Let's prune a little.
Yeah, and also the big drawback, I think, of first person is that you kind of right at the beginning you assume that the character is going to live to the end.
Oh, there's lots of stuff you can do to characters that don't involve killing them. I'm okay with that. Yes, I'm a sadist, too. But, no, the biggest drawback, I think, is you can't emote. Like, if they're really having strong emotions, they risk coming over as, like, being whiny or, like, being hysterical. Because they're, like, basically telling you all their emotions. And I think you can get away with it in third person because the person is a little more distant. In first person, it sounds like somebody who's been like telling you his troubles over and over and over again, for, like 30 pages, and it's really annoying.
Yeah, it's like that. Like I that's what I did. I started writing in first person, and then I found myself just so amazingly limited to to just one character that I had to put in a second sort of viewpoint character, but it started just becoming muddled. So I was like, I'm just gonna switch I'm just gonna switch to a third person because that's
Guillermo's actually the first thing he wrote was basically an inept warlock who had a goblin following him around, and the goblin was the warlock was basically dictating his life story, and then the goblin would add in his own little thing. So it was actually kind of in like double first person, because the warlock would say like, "Oh yes, and I conquered the evil something," and then the goblin would go, "No, he actually just peed his pants and ran away." And I thought that was
yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, and I scared them away after a while, and like, oh, well, they punched them until they got bored and walked away. Yeah, so that was. but yeah, it's just I think it's like whenever I read something in first person, I'm just kind of impressed because I try to do it myself, and it's just so hard. But I mean, it definitely works for the detective story, though. Yeah, it's like probably every detective story I've read was like in first person, because that's you're following their kind of their path to finding out what it was. If you already know who did it and how at the beginning, then it's really at that point it might as well be just like one chapter long.
But of course you do also get the whole, you can't really have an unreliable narrator in third person. So when it comes to first person, because it's all this person's viewpoint, that could be it could be flawed. So I like the unreliable narrator, and it's kind of easier to do info dumps, which sometimes can be a little on the boring side, but at least it's somebody telling you something rather than like the narrator of the story. Yeah, so I guess it basically just came down to it served the plot, which I'm finding more and more. People are always saying like, there's dialogue is king, characters are king. I really think it's plot. And I think as long as you get the viewpoint that serves your plot the best, then that's your right viewpoint for the story.
I'm all about whatever works.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can like with the first person, you can like, because they're telling you all their emotions, you get to know them rather quickly. And you can also have the option of writing letters, like the Dracula method.
Hard to do well in novel form, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then when you're going back and forth between writing a short story or a novel, are you more inclined to do first person for one or the other?
I haven't actually used first person in short story in a really long time.
Oh.
I use second person in short stories, which, well, I use it for a couple of like characters that are going mad, which works pretty good.
Oh yeah.
And for like stream of consciousness as well.
Yeah, that works well for the short stories, definitely, is the second person. Yeah.
I mean, with the novels, I haven't. Well, I mean, I did write another novel in like alternate third person, alternating third person, and I think it's a more distant novel. But I also think like it puts more on the canvas because you've got like those three different perspectives.
Yeah.
One thing that I find very hard to do with like first person is actually like having a voice that is different between like different first persons. So like everyone basically sounds like me. I have this feeling, or like my writing persona or whatever, but like they all sound similar. And this is something I also see in a bunch of first person books that I've read, that the first person is like supposed to be someone else, but they're still coming across the same. And I think it works very well if you have like a strong and distinctive voice for your main character, but then the problem is you have to come up with another one if you start another series or another plot in another corner.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's tough to write in a different voice if you're saying I. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's hard to get that distance yourself as an author. Guillermo, do you have any last words on first person? Because you got pretty far into that the Inept Warlock book before.
Well, I haven't given up on it just yet. I'm just taking a break, and because I kind of decided I don't need an outline. I can do this the way I always do everything. Just the same way I did reports when I was in in high school. I did it the night before, just based on what I knew. Just making things up, putting bibliography. I can make up the best books you can. You'll never find.
Yeah. Plus, throw in those. Throw in the word utilize a lot. There you go.
Yeah, and ascertain, and they're like, "Oh, he used the word ascertain. That means he worked on it." But I find it's. I needed to I had to write this next one just because the concept came to me and I was like, all right, if I don't do this now, I'm going to leave it for it's ever going to get done. So I'm going to write a little bit in third person, then I'm going to go back to first, and then maybe come up with an actual outline and a plot, and and not just have random funny things happen to a warlock and an elf and a goblin. With third person, having them, I'm pretty good with getting people to have their own voice, just because I kind of picture, someone in my head that I know.
Because you already have all those voices in your head already.
Yeah. I just need to hold auditions in my head is what happens. All right. Is Angry Mexican Guy there? All right. I'm going to use your voice. Is that cool? All right. Next, petulant child that just wants to watch Star Wars all day and eat cereal. Go, you're up. All right, and I don't know. I think I'm just weird like that. So sometimes multiple personality disorder can be a good thing. Who knows? No, I'm kidding. I don't have MPD. I'm not crazy. Well, depends on who you ask.
Nice.
I'm feeling very reassured. Well, actually, there's an entire ocean between me and you guys, so yeah, I'm okay.
No, we're good. They don't let me out of the country anymore.
Oh, that was an epic rant. Thank you for those final thoughts.
Yes, you're welcome, and everyone else says you're welcome.
Okay.
Except for Angry Mexican Guy, he just says "f you" and no, I'm kidding. No, kidding. I don't know. I'm just good with pretending to be other people because I did a lot of drama in high school because I'm a nerd and I didn't have any friends. But
I saw that video of you dressed as a dog. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
And you sang.
I was singing.
Yeah.
I was a drama nerd, and now I'm a writing nerd. Well, I'm an everything nerd now.
An omni nerd.
An omni nerd. Wow, that makes me sound like some kind of mutant. Like I should be sitting on the top of a mountain with nerds coming up to ask me questions, like some sort of wise man. I think you will find it was TK421.
This is all going into outtakes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you were saying that whenever you type the band name Manowar, it has to be in all caps, or else the metal police come and take you away, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, it's not just defined anymore. They just completely they just beat you with an axe.
Yeah, with a mace, a war mace, a war hammer.
Yeah, something like that.
Made out of human bones and like femurs, and human skull is the hammerhead part.
Yeah, when there's really no one that has gone through that has really lived through it, so no one knows what really happens.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
So these are just rumors.
It's like it is said that Devin Townsend appears.
Yeah.
If you say his name 3 times in a mirror. Yeah.
Wait, but I don't know. But it's not current Devin Townsend. It's Skullet Devin Townsend. Which is even.
The skullet is probably my favorite haircut. I want it when I'm an old man sitting on my crown or my throne of bleached skulls. I want to have a skullet. Yeah. So you can just you could have everything skull themed. I'm like, hey, did you notice anything else skull themed? Hint. It's my hair. Yeah. It's a party in the back. and really depressing up front.
Yeah.
So we just had our interview. One of our interviews with Aliette de Bodard went up, and the more and more I say her name, the more and more I realize that I horribly butcher it, because that's what I do.
It's like Aliette de Bodard. No,
Let me ask you something, Aliette.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's me. The Chicago accent kind of comes out, and I'm like Aliette.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, have some Polish sausage.
Yeah.
And it is way too bright where I'm sitting. I'm actually. We kind of are in the process of clearing out my garage, so if you hear some kind of background feedback or noise, it's actually the air conditioning, because I'm not sitting out in a really, really hot garage sweating my face off and sticking to the seat. I'm sitting in the middle of an air-conditioned living room, and I'm just down the hall from where my wife and son and daughter are sleeping.
Oh, yes. We have that's a new addition.
A new addition, yes. I have, the little one was born. Little Batgirl Love was born.
Yeah.
Was born the day before The Dark Knight Rises came out.
Oh yeah, no.
And I still managed to go see the midnight showing because my wife released me. I had to stay up all night anyway because I was going to work the night after, because it was kind of short notice. Our little girl was born kind of abruptly, so I didn't have anybody to take my place at work, so I had to go in and work overnight. So her mom, your mom also, stayed the night in the hospital with her, and I went and saw The Dark Knight with my dad and your dad. And I think my dad and I may have freaked out your dad.
Why? What happened?
Well, okay, my dad's the one that got me into comic books, and especially Batman. He's my favorite, always has been. Him and Deadpool. But anyway, after we saw the showing, your dad was like, "Well, it was interesting to see the movie with such great character aficionados." And yeah, I think because like the whole time we were just, I was like, okay, no, I'll tell you why Batman's a good hero, blah blah blah, and like trying to think up like when different things happened, like who Bane originally was, and what he is now, and why it was okay that they changed his origin story, because I think they did a great job.
I thought, yeah, I wasn't. The thing is, I did the same thing that I did with Dark Knight, where I was like, oh man, Heath Ledger's gonna be Joker? Are you kidding me? That guy's gonna suck. And I was so completely and utterly wrong.
Oh my gosh, I was blown away. I still think The Dark Knight was better than The Dark Knight Rises. But for a third movie, it was great.
Yeah, but the thing is, I did the same thing for Catwoman. I was like, oh man, I forget her name.
Yes, Anne Hathaway. That was like the best, like, pleasant surprise for the whole movie was how good Anne Hathaway was as Catwoman, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was like, wow, she kind of gets it. All right, I didn't expect that. And then I was like, oh, Bane without I'm like, I don't know how they're gonna make it interesting. And like, oh, they made Bane interesting.
Yeah, they rearranged his mask so it was covering his mouth instead of like the opposite. Because I think in the comics, he's wearing like a luchador mask, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he actually is. I think in the comics he is Mexican, right?
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where it's like, indeterminate origin. Just like you can't really tell which country.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's what I loved about the whole Christopher Nolan series was there was, in The Dark Knight, in the second movie, they went to China, or Batman went to China, and that was the only time they ever mentioned where anybody was from or where they were. Because, Gotham City, I mean, it's in America, yes, but you don't know where in America it is. And then when he's off, I mean, I assume it was maybe Thailand that he went to train with the League of Shadows.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't know. You don't really even know.
Exactly. They don't say, and they don't. Bane has, well, I mean, he's all muffly when he talks anyway, but I heard a review that said Bane's voice, you kind of, your ears have to get used to it the same way that your eyes would have to get used to seeing a 3D movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it takes a minute to like process it, and then after that, you more or less can pick up what he's saying. But even the times where it's kind of hard to hear him, you're like, oh, okay, he was saying something ominous, I'm sure.
Right.
But anyway, like Bane's accent, he kind of sounded like a kind of a gravelly, kind of distorted Sean Connery.
Yeah. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, and they didn't really, the prison. I mean, this is no spoiler that the whole Bane being in prison, and then the prison that they visit the prison later in the movie. And they don't really say where it is, and there's like all these different accents and different like nationalities of people around, so it's really ambiguous, and I like that because you can just kind of make up the story in your head, like, oh, they were over here, but yeah, in the comic books it was like that too. It was some kind of something that was like a Spanish name.
Yeah,
was the prison, but yeah. Anyway,
either that or the writers were like, all right, oh wait, did you guys check which country Bane is from? Oh, dude, no, I forgot. Wikipedia that. The internet's down. Just make it whatever.
Well, we already have a British actor playing him, so I don't know. Sean Connery? That sound like a good accent? Okay.
Yeah, all right, let's go with that.
He's like, yes, Batman. I am a Spanish gentleman.
Welcome to Batman. Welcome to Gotham City. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my one thing about the movie, though. I could have totally done. I think it would have been a much better ending, and I'm not going to give anything away here with spoilers or anything. For those listening, I really could have done with the movie ending maybe like 30 seconds earlier.
Yeah, no,
I just have the thing with Alfred. Just have him look at the camera and kind of smile.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Because then people would be like, "Oh, is he or isn't he?"
Yeah, exactly. And you could just make it up in your head, and then just have him kind of make a little gesture of recognition, or whatever, and then have the initial credits roll, and then do the thing with the Joseph Gordon-Levitt character.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like it would have been more cool and arty that way, but then people who just didn't get it would be like, "That sucks. What happened? We don't know what's going on." I'm like, you don't have to know. That's the Well,
that's actually I kept thinking. I don't think you ever listened to this one particular episode of Writing Excuses, with oh my gosh, the guy's name isn't coming to me. Lou Anders, thank you. He's editor at Pyre Magazine or Pyre Publishing, and he said that there were a bunch of stories that his printer for some reason did not print out the last page, and he read the stories and he was like, "Oh, the endings are so good because they end on such an ambiguous note that I can just make up the ending in my head." So there's all these stories that were like, ended a page early. And he thought they were great, because they ended a page early. So when he saw the final page for these stories, and then he told the writers, well, let's go ahead and edit out that last page. And then those stories went on to win like awards and stuff. So you can thank Lou Anders' printer for that. So I just kept thinking, like, I really wish Lou would have had his printer going for the third Batman movie.
Yeah, it should have. That's how it should have ended. It should have had the Nolan ending where it's like, oh wait, so is he Inceptioned or isn't he? And yeah, come on, just do that. Instead, they're like, no, people won't get it. I'm like, well, screw them.
Well, it's the same thing with Memento. That was Christopher Nolan too, right?
Yeah.
Like the end of that was like, you didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
You made it up in your mind.
Exactly.
Like you were like, okay, well, he actually is a crazy murderer, or okay, this guy actually did kill his wife, and you just kind of make it up for the end, and then you can just go on with your life, woohoo, And I kind of wanted that with Batman because I had a whole ending ready, but then they showed it to me, so
Yeah, and then you're like, oh. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you're like, oh, well, I guess we know that he's alive, but it should have been better the other way. But
Yeah.
that would have just that was my personal preference too. I understand. I totally get where you're coming from. I'm
Yeah.
like, yes.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone with that. So this last week, surprisingly, has not been a very productive writing week for me.
Well, with a new baby and all.
Yes, I have my. She's 7 days old now. She's a whole week, so she knows what's up. And yeah, she's amazing, really awesome.
Oh yeah, she's
My little bad girl.
Yeah, I just saw her and I'd like it teleported me back to when I was like, 3 years old, and I saw my little sister for the first time. I was like, she looks exactly the same. I was like, wow, she's like a clone, except for the ears. The ears are she got your ears, but
Yeah.
everything else is pretty much Lisa. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
Yeah, with my son, with Beowulf. Um, yeah, he looked a lot like my wife, except for the chin and the mouth, because there's kind of the Velez side of him, your side, doesn't really have much in the mouth department or the chin department,
right,
and that's
yeah.
all me, baby. That's all me.
That's good. That's good.
I got the Bruce Campbell chin under my beard.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm just like,
Mhm.
it makes him look more awesome. I was
Yeah.
like, how could you improve me? Give me a Bruce Campbell. Well,
a
it
chin.
improves anything.
Yeah.
You can go to the statue of David and be like, it could use something more. Bruce Campbell chin.
Bruce
Just
Campbell
go up there
chin.
with a chisel
The
and then
witchy poo chin. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh boy. So how was your writing week?
I've actually been doing not as much writing as I'd like.
Uh-huh. Well, you've had kind of an eventful week too. It's something kind of milestone-y and major happened today, didn't it?
Well, yeah, I quit my job of 7 years.
Ooh, has it been 7 years?
Yeah, it's been 7 years.
Man,
It feels
I'm
like 20.
sorry. Yeah, I'm sure it feels like you were born in a prison and you lived your whole life there just plotting on how to kill Batman.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I just want to cause, anarchy in Gotham City. That's
it.
But it was, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm kind of free. I can now go on, move on with my life. And then I'm like, but I'm gonna be broke. I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah, but you're doing something. You're making progress. This might just be the fire needed to burn your bottom
Yeah,
and get you going.
I'm kind of hoping it is, but it's one of those things where it's probably not going to hit me until I take a look at my account and finally see it in the negative. Then I'm like, what have I done?
Oh, good Lord, I have all those student loans.
Yeah, it's like they're already coming after me, and they sent the ninjas after me, the student loan ninjas. They just beat you up and take whatever's in your wallet.
Yeah.
The thing is, they never pop out of the same place twice, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly. That's how ninjas work.
Yeah.
And on an unrelated note, we were talking a lot about the Dark Knight Rises and stuff, and I gotta say, I whole lot of heartache and heartbreak for the people in Aurora, Colorado.
Yeah, that was.
Oh man.
Man, it's just I'm like, why? Okay, yeah, your life sucks. So, I don't get it. I'm like, usually it's my life sucks. I think I'll go drink. All right, I get that. But if it's like my life sucks, I want to destroy hundreds of other people's lives. And I'm like, wait, how does it go from one to the other? I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist or anything. It's just.
Yeah, and I didn't. Here I was like an idiot. After seeing the movie, I'm like, oh, Dark Knight Rises was so awesome, blah blah blah, and I didn't even see until 6 a.m. The next day, like what happened, and yeah, that sucked, man.
Well, at first it was like they were like, oh, a couple people were injured. I was like, oh, okay, well, at least no one died. And then it's like, this just in, like 12 people died. I'm like, oh my god.
What is up with Colorado?
I don't know.
There's I mean, was man really meant to live a mile high?
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't mean to make light of it, but
no, it's just, but I know it's just like, I'm like, dude, it's just, it happens every other thing. Maybe it's just more, I don't know, maybe it's more publicized when it's that or something. I don't know.
yeah.
And
but
like,
I'm just like, it's just horrible.
yeah, and like you can blame violent movies and violent video games, but you know, you and I, we watch a lot of violent movies and play a lot of violent video games, and you know, we don't do stuff like that. It's just I think there's, you know, just some people out there are just, you know, dark, you know, in the soul, you know.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean,
They take it the wrong way, you know.
I watched the, you know, most violent over the top things, and I know it's not real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not real. But I mean, it's never once have I, you know, after playing Grand Theft Auto, have I, you know, wanted to do any of that. I'm like,
yeah, you save it for the games and the movies.
Exactly. There's no, you know, there's no respawning in real life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you kill someone, they're dead. They don't come back on the next screen so that you can run them over and then rob them again. It's just, I don't know. People are, I don't know. Maybe there's people that feel that, you know, they don't have anything to lose, so, you know, why not, you know, go crazy? And I'm like,
yeah. Well,
no, there's always something to lose.
And at the same time, I really, you know, there's part of me that's like, you know, this dude's just kind of using the crazy thing as an excuse. But like, I can't think of any other reason why somebody would do that other than that they were crazy.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, whatever. But, you know, we'll see what happens with that. So
some people are dicks, and I hope that, you know, I hope that, you know, the justice system works and this person goes away forever.
Yes. Oh, I hope so. But I had a whole topic planned that I was going to talk about tonight, but we kind of, well, you know, I think we talked enough, and, you know, we covered a bit. So The Dark Knight Rises was awesome. Go see it. And our...
Also write it and just throw it out there.
Yeah, and yeah, that's about it. I think we were a little late getting this episode out this week, but we'll try to get the next one out on time and in a timely fashion. And also, don't forget, I know I mentioned them last week, but check them out again this week. The Roundtable Podcast, and you can follow them at Authors Podcast on Twitter, and they're a lot of fun. Also, Dead Robot Society, which if the Roundtable Podcast and the First Million Words, which is us, were brother and sister, then I think Dead Robot Society would probably be our father. But maybe our like abusive, negligent father,
like who, the Darth Vader.
Yeah, like the Darth Vader. He cuts off our hand, and then tells us that he's our father, and yeah,
we toss ourselves down some sort of ventilation shaft.
That's not true. That's impossible. So true. Yeah. Okay, I'm not going to quote the movie. So,
but that's improbable.
That's improbable. I mean, it might be true, but I don't know. I have to go home and think about it.
Well, you know, we do kind of have the same voice. No, we don't.
No.
We do that weird thing where whenever we drink, we pick up a cup of liquid to drink. We stick our pinkies out. So maybe
we were both whiny bitches as teenagers.
Oh yeah,
like Harry Potter. Okay. Anyway, everybody, it was a fun episode, and next episode will be our last interview with Aliette de Bodard. Also, don't forget to go out and pick up it's either Obsidian and Blood or I think it's Obsidian and Blood, not Blood and Obsidian. Obsidian and Blood. Pick it up. It's a really good ebook. It has all 3 of the Obsidian and Blood stories, and also novels, plus I believe 3 short stories that are set in the same world with the same characters, and one of those is what won her the Writers of the Future award a few years back, and what spawned the novel. So, and I think that one's called Obsidian's Shards, which is totally awesome. So pick that up, read it, put a review, and also if you like our show and you feel kind enough, leave us some reviews on iTunes. And give us some stars, and FMWpodcast.com has our the section where you can leave some comments there on the particular episode. So go do that. Go write. Have fun.
And then submit it to Writers of the Future, because I mean.
Wait, what are we submitting?
Oh, I mean, just submit whatever you write to Writers of the Future. Just submit it. And because this is something I know this is kind of taboo, but I'm gonna just come out and say it. Whenever you win, you get a hoverboard.
Ooh, yeah, they don't tell you that, but yes, you get a hoverboard and a pyramid hat.
Yeah, and
$1,000. So go out there and yeah, if it's under 17,000 words, submit it. That's a really fun thing to do. So we will see you next episode. I don't think we have anything more to say for tonight. So until next time, I am Benjamin J. Love.
And I am Guillermo. I want my hoverboard Velez.
I want my hoverboard too. Right! Oh, I think I just woke up my kids.
It's okay.
I need to stop yelling.
They'll understand.
Yeah, when they're older, they'll be traumatized. Dad kept telling me to write. Why?